Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you have been sitting on the fence wondering if you should try the historical natural hair care techniques that I and so many others have had such great results from, today's video is for you. Hi, I'm Catherine, and if you don't know, I started my hair growth journey about 7 years ago, and I started out by diving in and doing a lot of research on natural as well as historical hair care techniques and really just reinventing the way that I cared for my hair. These techniques have had amazing results for me. I was able to grow my hair out from a chin-length haircut to now almost thigh length, and it was never able to grow so long for my entire life before trying this routine. So today's video is going to be announcing something very exciting. I am going to be launching a 2024 hair care challenge. So if you have been waiting for a little push or a little nudge to give a try to some or all of these historical natural hair care techniques that I've outlined on my various hair videos, then this challenge is for you. Whether you just give some or all of these techniques that I'm going to be outlining for this challenge a try over the month of February this year, I have great confidence that you will see amazing results. And what is the best part of this challenge? You don't have to feel committed to doing all of the things in this challenge. It's really all about meeting you where you're at. So if you feel that it would be too overwhelming to do all of these things at once, just choose one or two of the techniques that you feel would make the biggest difference for you. Or if you maybe have already been trying some of the techniques and you're just ready to give all of it a try, remember it's just for a month, and this is a great opportunity to give it a try, and we'll have kind of more group morale support in doing this. And I'm going to be doing this challenge right along with you all, and I'll be doing YouTube posts and social media posts about it throughout the way to keep in touch. So again, feel free to try just some of these techniques, but I will be outlining all of the baseline hair care techniques that I think are all equally important for transforming your hair and scalp health and helping to grow thicker and longer and healthier hair. The great thing about this natural historical hair care method or technique is just how extremely customizable it is. Not only for different people and different hair types, but also just for different phases of our lives. And I can say this from personal experience. I have been using this method for the last 7 years. During that time, I have had lots of things happen in my life that had to make me adjust the way I did my hair care. I have had 3 babies in that period of time, moved twice. One of those moves was across my province. I have been running a successful YouTube channel during that time, being a mother to my 5 children, a myriad of different life tasks, as you can imagine. And so all of that has caused me to really reflect on how I'm able to either pull back on the hair care techniques to more of a minimalist approach, or at times when I feel more motivated and have more time, really diving in and doing those extra things to build up my hair health and my scalp health. And the wonderful thing about this hair care method is that even during those times when we really have to pull back and be ultra minimalist about what we choose to do with our hair or not do with our hair, your hair will not suffer for it. As long as we're still continuing to handle our hair gently and just be loosely conscious of it, it's not going to get really, really bad in the same way that when we're doing, typical conventional hair care and we just kind of like forget about our hair, it can often suffer. With this method, it doesn't. Those busy times of our lives can be great for really distilling down the natural historical hair care methods to what is most important for you and your hair, and that's going to be different for everyone. So as we progress with this challenge, and certainly at the end of it, please feel free to leave comments below, especially on this video, sharing your experiences and how your hair is feeling both before and after. So this challenge is going to be starting on January 31st and will be continuing to the end of February. And again, I will be doing community posts here on YouTube as well as on my Instagram most likely. So make sure you're following me on Instagram if you're not already, just to keep in touch and remind you all of the techniques that are a part of this challenge. So with all that being said, let's jump into outlining the different methods that are going to make up this hair care challenge. And remember that for each of these methods, there is likely a full in-depth video all about it on my channel. So make sure you look that up. Let's jump into it. Clay washing hair. Okay, so the first method that we're going to be using in our hair care challenge is using clay washes in our hair, likely instead of shampoo. So I myself use Rasul clay. That is the type of clay that I have been using for the past 7 years to grow my own hair out so long. So that is the type of clay that I'm going to recommend starting out with. However, if you have difficulty accessing it, or if your hair is extremely oily, then you can use bentonite clay as well. For more information on the clay washing and how to use it, please check out my hair washing video on this channel. But basically, we mix a certain amount of clay. I usually do about 1/3 of a cup of clay powder to 2 cups of liquid. I mostly just use water, although you can do half water and half aloe vera juice if you want to be more fancy. And then you can also add in some essential oils that promote hair growth and scalp health, like lavender and rosemary, maybe tea tree, maybe peppermint. You apply it to your hair as I show in my hair washing video. I would recommend doing this clay washing up to 3 times a week, or maybe just once a week, or maybe every 2 weeks, just depending on where you're at with your hair and your scalp and how often you have been washing already. For this hair care challenge, although I am certainly not against using shampoo, I know certain people do find it helpful to use shampoo in conjunction with a clay wash. How about for this challenge, we just try to stick with the clay wash only and just see what happens. And that will give us a good baseline to see what we want to add to our hair care routines after that point. Apple cider vinegar rinses. Okay, so the next aspect of this hair care challenge is going to be using apple cider vinegar rinses, or alternatively, if your hair really doesn't like the vinegar or you'd rather not use it, you can also use aloe vera juice as a rinse. Both of these rinses are slightly acidic, which is important for a final hair rinse. This is the last step you do before getting out of the shower, although I do tend to rinse out the vinegar before I actually do get out of the shower. Some people don't. But the reason it's important is because hair's pH is naturally somewhat acidic. And so sometimes, especially if we're using something like clay to wash our hair, clay is very mineral rich and it's therefore more alkaline. And so as a final step, we want to bring our hair back to its naturally somewhat acidic pH, and that's going to help to seal off the cuticles, make your hair appear more shiny as well as more soft and more manageable, and it helps to minimize tangles as well. It just basically creates a nice clean slate for your hair for whatever other styling products you might do after that point. Herbal hair growth oil. Okay, so the next aspect of the hair care challenge is going to be using a herbal hair growth oil. So I do have a recipe for my own herbal hair growth oil on this channel. I have a video that goes all in depth about the different ingredients. So if you already have mixed up a batch of this, then definitely use that. Or if you're willing to jump in and mix it up now, then you can do that as well. And you don't have to make the recipe as complicated as I do myself. You could start off with less ingredients if it's overwhelming for you. And I would recommend applying this to your scalp at least once a week, as well as a little bit to your hair ends. You can apply it up to maybe about 3 times a week if you're just applying a very small amount and massaging it in, and also just depending on how much oil your own scalp and hair can handle. So I myself have gone through phases where I will apply a little bit of oil about every other day, just using a dropper bottle, just a very few drops on my scalp and really massaging it in. And as long as I'm wearing my hair up during the days, it doesn't tend to look oily when I do that. I would definitely recommend though just starting at least with a once a week scalp treatment with the herbal hair growth oil. And again, you can feel free to use the full recipe. It does have wonderful results and has had wonderful results for many, many people. But if you can't source all of the ingredients, or if it's just a little overwhelming for you, then feel free to downsize the recipe a little and just stick with maybe coconut oil and a little henna or a little amla and some essential oils. Also, if you have light colored hair and you're worried about the hair coloring effects of this oil, you can sub out the henna for cassia and just decrease the amount of amla a little bit, and that should be enough to prevent any sort of discoloration from the oil. Although it is fairly unlikely for this oil to discolor hair for most people, but definitely do a strand test first. The next aspect of the challenge is going to be something that will not work for everyone. It depends on what you're comfortable with and how your health is. It's going to be taking MSM as a supplement. So again, please do your own research. I am not saying that everyone needs to do this. This is a highly optional part of the hair care challenge. But if you've already been taking MSM, then just continue that. Or if you've already done research into it and you have talked to your healthcare practitioner and you feel comfortable taking it, then start off taking some MSM during this challenge. I have a video all about MSM where I talk about the potential benefits as well as some cautionary points about taking MSM. But basically, if you have not taken MSM before, then please just start off with a very, very small amount, like 1/8 of a teaspoon a day, and drink lots of water. And again, I do not recommend this if you have not done research on it, if you have not consulted your healthcare practitioner. Please do those things first. And if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, then just skip the MSM part. I don't want to be recommending any supplement to people as a blanket statement, if that makes sense. This is just an optional part of the challenge. And I myself have been taking MSM for pretty much my whole hair care journey. I can't remember for sure, but I have definitely seen great results with it, which is why I'm including it as an optional point. Okay, so the next aspect of the hair care challenge is going to be sealing our hair ends. So sealing our hair ends is going to look different depending on what your hair type is. So as a minimum, if you have straight or fine hair, it's going to look like sealing your ends after a shower. So you could just use a very, very tiny amount of something very light like jojoba oil. And again, rub it in your hands. Put it just on your hair ends very lightly. You don't want to make your hair look greasy. And if your hair absolutely cannot tolerate any oil whatsoever, then you could use something like aloe vera juice. It would definitely be better than nothing, just applying that to your ends. But I think most people can tolerate just a small amount of oil. The benefit of sealing our hair ends, especially after a wash, is that when our hair is damp after a wash and we put that oil on over top, the oil acts as a barrier for the moisture that's already in the hair and just helps keep those hair ends supple and moisturized and therefore less likely to break. For people with longer or drier or coarser or curlier hair that's more like mine, you can definitely apply oil to your hair ends more often than just after a wash. I myself have done it maybe up to every other day on my hair ends. And again, just use a light oil, just use a small amount and rub it in your hands, apply it to your hair ends. And then you can do this technique in conjunction with the next technique that I'm going to talk about now as a part of the challenge, which is dry finger detangling of the hair. So this is going to be one of the more, I would say, non-negotiable aspects of the challenge. Take that with a grain of salt because again, just do what you're comfortable with for this challenge. But dry finger detangling is a very important aspect of what has grown my own hair out so long when it could never grow that long previously. And it's because it helps to retain hair length by minimizing the chances of breakage. Hair is more likely to break when you're detangling it, period. But especially so if you're using a brush or a comb and you're just being very rough with your hair. Even if you're not being rough with your hair, a brush or a comb simply cannot feel the way our fingers do. Our fingers are intelligent, they are part of us, so they can help negotiate those knots without breaking any hairs, which a brush and a comb cannot do. The reason why I recommend dry finger detangling hair, even for those with curly hair like me, is that hair is more likely to snap and break when it is wet. However, we're actually less likely to feel that breakage occurring because the hair is so much more soft and mushy when it's in a wet state. So if you do have curly hair and you are struggling to dry finger detangle, then wait until your curls have somewhat relaxed a bit, maybe gotten stretched out, and then apply some oils or butters to your hair before detangling. If you have straight hair, you can probably skip the oil step. It just depends on how dry your hair is, how coarse, how thick it is, but I definitely do recommend dry finger detangling hair for this challenge. The next aspect of the hair care challenge is going to be scalp massage. So I would recommend massaging your scalp certainly at least once a week, but since this is a challenge and it's just for a month, I would recommend trying to give yourself a scalp massage actually once a day. And I mean, this has wonderful benefits, not just for hair growth. I myself tend to massage my scalp before I go to sleep, and it always helps me to have wonderful sleeps. So you can do a scalp massage with just your hands. Your hands can be a wonderful massage tool, or if you do have a scalp massager, then feel free to use that. I myself use mostly my Scalp Hero scalp massager, which I talked about on my hair loss video. and I really do love that one, but it is a little more pricey, and fingers work fine. I went for most of my hair growth journey just massaging my scalp with my fingers, and that's what's obviously been used throughout history, so don't feel bad about just using your fingers. The reason why scalp massage is so beneficial is because it loosens up your scalp, which allows the blood and nourishment and oxygen to really flow to all of your hair follicles, which can help to wake up follicles that were there, but they just weren't producing hair. And it can also help to actually thicken up the individual thickness of each strand of hair, because it will help those follicles just be working more efficiently and getting more nutrients, and therefore being able to grow thicker, healthier hairs. Okay, the last point of the hair care challenge is going to be protective styling. So protective styling is going to look differently depending on whether it is daytime or nighttime. So for nighttime, this is probably the most important aspect of protective styling that you want to be aware of, is how are you sleeping? Because if you're just sleeping with your hair loose on a cotton pillowcase, chances are your hair is going to be getting tangled and it's going to be undergoing a lot of friction and damage during the night, and that damage is going to build up over time. So we want to be sleeping with our hair preferably in a braid, maybe one braid, maybe two braids. If your hair is too short for a braid, then just find a style that works to keep your hair comfortably free from tangles and not in a way that will prevent it from getting tangled during the night. And then we also want to be aware of what surface our hair is touching during the night. So you'll want to either sleep with a silk or satin pillowcase, or with a silk or satin scarf wrapped around your hair, or a sleeping cap. I actually have a video all about nighttime hair care that talks more in depth about all of this, so definitely check that out if you're not familiar with it yet. So for protective styles during the day, I do have 2 videos all about protective styles, both their importance as well as demonstrating how to do many different protective styles, so definitely check that out. But basically, protective styles during the day help keep your hair ends protected from the elements, protected from getting tangled as well. And it's a great tool to use for length retention, for helping your hair to avoid breakage over time. Okay, one more aspect of the challenge that is going to be optional, because it depends on your hair type and what you're currently used to, is going to be boar bristle brushing. So I do have a video also all about boar bristle brushing. Definitely check that out if you would like to learn more. But boar bristle brushing is a very historical technique that was used to dry cleanse hair, as well as to keep it smoother and more manageable. And it also does a great job of stimulating the hair follicles and the scalp as well. So that's a great technique to add in, but it's optional, because I realize that some people, if you're not used to boar bristle brushing, or maybe you don't have time to get one, maybe you have curly hair and you're not comfortable with using a brush, it's definitely optional. I have gone through periods of my hair growth journey without using any boar bristle brush, or with using a lot of boar bristle brushing. So it totally depends on where you're at for that one. Okay, that's it. So I am really excited for this hair growth challenge. I am going to be jumping into this challenge right with you and posting about it on my Instagram, probably a few community posts as well. So please let me know in the comment section below if you're planning on joining this challenge. I will be so excited to see a lot of you joining this challenge. And remember, please don't feel like you need to do the whole thing. This is all about baby steps and all about meeting you where you're at. So if you are completely new to all of this, then please feel free to just choose one of the techniques I outlined for this challenge. Maybe it would be clay washing, or maybe it would be doing oil treatments or dry finger detangling. Or if you are ready to do the whole thing, especially if you have already been trying some of the techniques, a lot of you out there are in that boat, then maybe this would be a great time for you to jump in and try the entire package for a month and just see how it goes. And then you can learn what techniques are really great for you, which techniques maybe you don't need to do all the time. And I believe this is going to be very beneficial for your hair growth and your scalp health and just your overall hair health as well. So good luck, and please remember to share your feedback with me in the comments of this video or whenever I do a post about it. And I'm so excited for this hair growth challenge, and I'll see you on the next video.